of the book can be used for all courses. Not important. Third edition of the first edition and edition of the book can be used for this course. Because we do not try on drive system. Only we try on analysis of the dictionary. This one is another course and use of this book. For example, drive systems or power electronics. You can use the course which you can find the shareless or in the library. Analysis of the electrical machinery and drive system by Paul Krauss. The one is very important. The power systems and electrical machine analysis. Course of technical in the universities, important university in the world, in North America, and find this very important in the course. Machinery and studying of the call machinery. Second word used as the evidence is generalized of the electrical machine. The name is called generalized theory of electrical machinery. Is adapted from specific and would be used as the and that in the world used as polygons of the electrical machine Bahara is written by Bahara in Bahara. And Indian version, and this will be published of the second edition. And one true edition, is from edition 7 of this. Now find it was shaped and libraries. Really important. Very famous for the analysis. Also, this as another part of the machine, we call machines different ones. Generalized to this is a happening use of very famous one, famous concept of the work. I don't run machine and it and simulate. Physical machines analysis. It simulation. Physical machines simulation. Electrical machines simulations. MATLAB and simulate by I write this here. Electrical electrical. Simulation. One. MATLAB and electrical machines, simulations by MATLAB and Simulate. This is MATLAB and Simulate is a simulation package, simulation software. So we can use it from simulation of all kinds of electrical equipment. This book tries to simulate electrical machines, AC machines, synchronous or asynchronous machines, transformers, and complexity of these machines. So it uses some of the basic fundamentals of the electrical machine, generalized theory of electrical machines to simulate this in the environment of MATLAB or Simulate. This book written by Moore, the author of this book. You can find also this book in the library or share. In Iran, translation of this book published by University of Tehran. Edition of this book translated and published by University of Tehran. Book is very, very important. Very, very important for who try to simulate the try to solve the differential equations of the electrical machine behavior and see how this electrical machine acts about relating voltage or mechanical sequences. Very, very important for simulation purpose. I advise you to try this book for your simulation and use it as a good reference for simulations. Okay? These three books are the differences that used in all of around the world for this. North America is original, the Middle East and Asian countries, especially in India, and combined in China and Hong Kong and other countries. This book is used as a reference for this course. So, what we use the main I see my microphone is working. My microphone is working and sound is good here. or somebody don't hear my voice as possible, try to reconnect, try to reconnect, try to reconnect. Mr. Monetary or this is common and general velocity. Try again to reconnect. First, somebody else hear my voice and my microphone is here working. I tell it and reconnect again. Do you hear my voice good? My voice? Please let me. So we use the reference. The main reference of this course that we use in this. So we use analysis of electrical machinery and drive system as the main reference, for our course. Use the analysis of electrical machinery and drive system as the main reference for this course. We use this one as the main course. The other two books, Generalized Theory of Electrical Machines and Electrical Machines, Simulation by MATLAB and Simulate by Form as the auxiliary references. Use them in some conditions, in some situations for simulating or some material that is not covered by this book. So the main reference is this one, and we use these two other books as the situations as an auxiliary books to help us to understand the material more and completely. Okay. After introducing the references, we have to talk about our evaluations in the course. Simulations. You have to do some simulations every week. You have to do some simulations every week. Course that we talk about it, about the subject that talk about it in this course. You have 6 forms of all forms assigned for this simulation. 6 forms of all forms assigned to this. You have to send your simulation every week, and 6 forms for this simulation assignment. Final exam. Have a final exam of the 40 points assigned for this final exam. Assigned for this final exam. And these 2 subjects for these 2 days are of our evaluation method. Don't have any other form of evaluation. Only simulations and final result. We try to do this and get a good content. Contents. Talk about these materials in magnetically coupled circuits. Magnetically coupled circuit. You have to do, Mr. Shahir, you have to do some simulation every week. You have to do some simulations every week. Say some assignment. We have to start assignments every week, and you have to do these simulations. You have to use MATLAB and simulate these assignments. This is magnetically coupled circuits. First course. The first subject of this course is magnetically coupled circuits. Energy conversion, principle of energy conversion. How electrical energy and mechanical energy conversion takes place. How mechanical energy converted to electrical energy, or vice versa. 3. Air gap elemental distribution. How we can form magnetic motive force around the air gap of a cylindrical electric machines. How we can form MMF around the air gap of electrical machines with the cylindrical form electrical machines. And windings are placed in slots. Windings are placed in slots of stator and rotor. Yes, using math. Or linear transformation. You can see that at the beginning of this course, you can see that electrical machines equations are not linear, and differential equation with non-linearity and time-varying coefficients. So, the differential equations governs the electrical machine. You can say are non-linear and time-varying. These are very differential equations to be solved. So, we can use linear transformation to transform this non-linear time-varying differential equation to non-linear equations and omitting time-varying property of these equations by some transformations. By using some transformations, we can introduce these transformations, and using of this transformation to make nonlinear time-varying differential equations and simplify them, solving with linear or numerical, or with solving with numerical integration, or with some electrical circuit simulations. So after that, we already talked about asynchronous machines using the linear transformation, using the energy conversion, using the area distribution, and all of this is already talked about asynchronous machines and the analysis and the analysis. After talking about the asynchronous machines, we talked about the synchronous machines and their modeling and analysis with linear transformations, and using this linear transformation to model this type of machines. These two types of machines, asynchronous machines and synchronous machines, are very, very important in our system, our engineering, because synchronous machines is the head of a networks that produce electrical energy in power stations. And asynchronous machines is the popular electrical machine that use in all of the home appliances, industry, the workshop, and see these machines all places who need to convert electrical energy to mechanical energy from small machines and machines in the petrochemical and oil industry. All of them are synchronous machines. After that, we talked about operational time constant and reactances. Advanced topic in the synchronous machines operations. Important in transient of synchronous machines, dynamics of synchronous machines. You see some concepts based with some new concepts as operational time constant and reactances. For example, subtransient reactance, transient reactance, subtransient time constant, and the concepts such which in dynamic operation and transient operation of the synchronous machines. Talk about these concepts here. After that, we proceed with linear models. Linear models. These models for this type of machines very complicated and very, very difficult to be solved. So we use some linearization concept to simplify these models for synchronous and asynchronous machines to have a linear model of the synchronous and asynchronous machines, and using from linear system principle for analysis and control the synchronous and asynchronous machines, such as that we use in our system stabilizers. We use a linear model of synchronous machines, and we try to design a linear controller for our system oscillation, which is use PSS. So you need to know about linear models and how we introduce linear models from this complicated and models of the electrical machines. These 8 are the main goal of this course, and we have to talk about them. This. Any question? Any question? Okay. We start with magnetically coupled circuits. This is a basic concept in electrical machines, because all the electrical machines made from some electrical circuits that magnetically coupled together. The core that they bond around this magnetic core, and see in electrical of the electrical machines, the magnetic core and some bindings for electrical circuits that turn around this magnetic core. And this magnetic core acts as a coupling that magnetically couples all of these circuits together. So we have to know more about magnetically coupled circuits. This is important concepts for our electrical machinery analysis. On the other hand, you can see some electrical machines, they do not convert electrical energy to mechanical energy. Only they transfer electrical energy from one circuit to another. Transfer electrical energy from one circuit to another circuit. And this energy transfer from this circuit, which is electrically separated from the others, these two circuits did not have any electrical connection. Only the energy transfer from this circuit, this one, takes place from the magnetic coupling between this circuit. So, energy transfer from this circuit to this one or to another circuit take place from this magnetic coupling or magnetic flux. So, it is important in the energy concept to see that the part of electrical machine is stationary, we call it static, and the other part the moving, and you call it rotor. These two are, one part is stationary and the other part is rotating. And energy transfer from the stationary part to the rotary part takes place from the magnetic fluxes in the air gap of these parts. Okay? So energy is transferred from the stationary part to the rotary part by the magnetic fluxes through the air gap. So magnetically coupled circuits is important in the electrical machine for us because they act as a basic means to transfer energy from one circuit to another. Maybe these two circuits will be stationary, such as transformer, or one part is stationary and the other part is rotary in the energy conversion or electromechanical energy conversion devices, such as motor or generatory motor. So we have to talk about this concept in more detail. Magnetically coupled. The simplest figure can show the magnet. I can talk about it. Is here two circuits. One circuit with electrical parameters V1, I1, and 1/3, call it circuit 1. With the electrical properties V and R, and number of turns N1. This is an electrical circuit, we call it circuit 1. The other circuit is this circuit V2, I2, and 2 number of turns the circuit 2. This circuit has electrical property different from this one, and number of turns. So these two electrical circuits are different together from the point of electrical parameters. These two circuits are separated from each other. They do not have any electrical connection between these two circuits, and only the magnetic flux burn around this path, couple these two circuits together, couples these two circuits together, or links to circuit this magnetic flux, these magnetic fluxes, couples all these two circuits together. Try to find this relation between these two circuits and explain how this fluxes affecting the circuit number 1 and affecting the circuit number 2, and how energy transfers from the circuit to another one. Okay? The simplest circuit that I can use to explain this concept to see electrical circuit with a magnetical coupled medium that I use a iron or ferromagnetics that fluxes flow through this medium. I call it ferromagnet. Ferromagnet. So the simplest magnetically coupled circuits consist of two electrical circuits and a magnetic path and a magnetic media that fluxes can follow through it. Consists of two electrical circuits, isolated electrical circuits 1 and 2, and a magnetic media for following magnetic fluxes. Okay. I talk some about this magnetic media that we use to follow magnetic fluxes. Because we know about the electrical circuits, more or less we know about these circuits, but we are not familiar with this magnetic media, or we do not know much about the magnetic media. Materials from the magnetic property is divided or are divided into three parts. The magnetic materials based on magnetic property divided into parts. Number one is diamagnetic materials. Materials which weaken or decay magnetic flux in them. They make weaken the magnetic flux in them. They do not act magnetically. They weaken the magnetic flux. Number two, paramagnetic materials. Materials that act as air, wood, paper, and such other material. They do not length or weaken the magnetic flux. They act as paramagnetic matter. They do not lengthen or not weakening the magnetic flux. We call these materials paramagnetic. The third one is ferromagnetic materials. Materials which have a property that strengthens magnetic flux in them. They have property to make flux linkage in the material more and more strength than ferromagnetic materials. We use from ferromagnetic materials in magnetically coupled circuits. We use ferromagnetic materials. These magnetic materials made from iron, nickel, aluminum, salt, and alloys of these three materials can act as ferromagnetic materials in electrical machines. The main property of the materials is compared with air, and for air we can say that a magnetic property with mu zero. The magnetic property of material is said with mu. Mu thermobability shows the magnetic property of materials, and it compared with air or free space. For free space, mu zero is 4.10 power minus 7 Henry power meter. So, if the material compared with the air strengthens the liquid the magnetic fluxes, the mu of mu relative is greater than 1. For example, for ferromagnetic materials, mu r is above 2000 to 4000, strengthening the flux density or fluxes in the ferromagnetic materials with respect to age. Ferromagnetic materials strengthen the magnetic intensity or magnetic flux 2000 to with respect to age. So we can see that it's a more dense flux or more dense magnetic intensity we have in the magnetic materials or ferromagnetic materials. So we use ferromagnetic material for this concept, this subject, the sense in the flux density. Okay. Introducing the magnetic material or ferromagnetic, try to proceed our discussion with the modeling of these highly coupled circuits. The circuit 1 is current follow through this circuit based on the Ampere's law. The current through of this winding or of this introduce a magnetic property around these conductors. So we call it flux. So this figure, while following this current, introduce a flux around. This flux is divided into parts. This flux is divided into parts. One part we call it linkage flux. That links all the leakage flux only tells or links all tails of the winding that or the current introduced. So this called flux leakage. The second part of the flux introduced by this winding take the path around this magnetic material and links all the windings that found in this core. This part of the magnetic flux from this circuit is called magnetic flux of winding 1 or mutual flux of winding 1. So we can say this property for the second circuit. The second circuit also has a leakage flux only links the winding number 2, only links winding number 2 tails, all tails of winding number 2, and the second flux is linking in the and turn round all of the circuits wounded on this magnetic material. Okay? So with this definition, we can say that P1, all the fluxes that links this circuit is plus of PLA, linkage of the circuit 1, PMA, mutual flux of the circuit 1, and the mutual flux of the circuit 2 comes from this magnetic material and magnetic circuits PM2. And also for circuit 2 we can say that all the fluxes links this circuit is this one, the flux leakage of the circuit 2, flux mutual of winding 2, and the mutual flux of the winding 1 come from this circuit toward the circuit 2. And of the flux, okay, this molecule, I try. Answer your question, I try. The direction of the flux can be found with right hand rule. If you turn your fingers around this one, if you turn your fingers around this one, your can find that the direction of the flux is over here. Your fingers is around this one, and your main finger or your finger can be show this direction for flux. And for this circuit, if you round your finger around this winding, the current, you can see that the direction of flux is about here. And so this two points. If the current of any of this circuit is reversed, the direction of these fluxes can be reversed. So for these directions, these fluxes are bounded, and you can see that for this direction of current, fluxes are the same direction and make positive. So P2, the flux is that is the circuit number 1, P32 flux linkage of circuit 2, mutual flux of circuit 2, and mutual flux of circuit 1. And you can write these two equations for this flux and these fluxes. Okay. The point that I have to say in this condition is that the flux linkage of the magnetic is known. The physical property of the magnetic material is known. For example, the dimension of the magnetic flux, dimension of the magnetic part of this core is known. But this part or this path is not known for us. This is an unknown path, and from the magnetic viewpoint, this path is the shortest distance or magnetic circuit or magnetic flux to take place. This is not a known path for us, but this mutual path is known because through the magnetic circuits. We can write a KVL or voltage equation at this circuit, and also a voltage equation or KVL at this circuit. So we can write V equal R dot phi plus d lambda over t. D lambda over dt over dt shows the EMF induced through this variation of these fluxes on the circuit number 1, and also liquid motive reduce the circuit beyond the circuit 2 to the flux variation in the circuit 2. This is the Faraday's law. This is the Faraday law. This is a visual format for writing KVL along these circuits, because it's a vector or matrix format for writing KVLs for a circuit or for some circuits, 1, 2, 3, 4, and many circuits may be combined over this magnetic circuit. For our example, we have two voltage, two current, two flux linkage. One for this circuit and one for this circuit. So we say that F means V, F means R, F means lambda, F V1, V2, I, I1, I2 for this circuit and for this. Lambda means lambda 1 and lambda. So this formatting is very important because we proceed with two circuits, this simulation or this analysis, but we can generalize our expressions for more than two circuits. For example, for three circuits and so on. So we try to write this equation in matrix form. For our example, only two entries for vector V, for vector R, for vector R. But two circuits we have in this figure. Flux linkage of the circuit 1, flux linkage of the circuit 1 is defined as number of turns dot B. Means that in turn 1, all of these fluxes turns of this point. Number 2, number 3, and in yet all of the turns of this winding is linked by these fluxes. So we can write 4 concentrated circuits, or 4 concentrated windings, or 4 looped windings. We can write this equation. Lambda for flux linkage equal to number of turns dot for products B, such that it link it. For example, flux of the circuit number 1 is PNU, and plus PNU. And for flux linkage of the circuit 2 is in 2 times of the flux linkage 1 turn. In 2 times the flux linkage 1 turn of this circuit. Okay. If we take into account that this circuit or this magnetic material have the linear property, means that we can show that this property of this material in the plane of P and R with a linear function. We can show that the magnetic property of this material on the plane of P, I with a linear function, and say that this magnetic act as a linear system. If we take this as the basic of discussion, we can say that saturation of the magnetic material has been neglected, and we omitted the saturation of the magnetic material. So we can write PL, or we can compute PL from the magnetomotive force and the property of the magnetic materials. For each one of the fluxes we define here. For example, we can define we can find this magnetic flux, H magnetic flux, as the magnetomotive force of the binding one, mmF1, means N1 more than I1, N1 I1, divided the reluctance of the magnetic pad for this. So we can find P leakage secret 1, N product I1, other reluctance of the leakage. This means the mmF of the secret 1, or electromagnetic force of the secret. This form, reluctance L1, means the magnetic pad resistivity, magnetic pad resistivity to follow magnetic flux, or resistance of the pad that flux leakage or leakage flux pass or follow through it. Or means the resistance of this pad. The resistance of this pad or resistance for following these fluxes. So we can define P L1, N1 I1 over L and Pm1, N1 I1 magnetomotive force of the secret one over reluctance of magnetic pad, because it follows from the magnetic. Okay. This pad is known for us because the magnetic material and its dimension is known. But for this one, we do not know more about this pad because not a specified pad, a natural pad followed through it. And for secret 2, PL2, magnetomotive force of the secret 2 over reluctance of the flux, leakage flux of the secret. And Pm2, M2, I2 means magnetomotive force of the secret 2 over magnetic reluctance of the core. Reluctance is in general can be found from this relation. Reluctance depends on reluctance of this pad depend on the length of the magnetic flux, mu, property of the pad, magnetic property of the pad, and a cross-section of the pad that flux follows through it. That magnetic flux follows through it. It is very similar to electrical resistance of a circuit that depends on the length of the magnetic wire, conductivity of the magnetic wire, and cross section of the electric wire. Very similar to the resistivity of a wire or conducting wires, current carrying wires. So we can, based on this relation, we can find the reluctance of the paths for mutual flux of circuit 2 and mutual flux of circuit 1. But for leakage 1 and 2, the length of the flux and the cross section of the flux and not. If we put these equations or these relations in the main flux of the circuit 1 and flux of the non-circuit 2, you can find that V1 MMF of the circuit 1 over reluctance linkage 1 MMF of circuit 1 over reluctance of magnetic path plus MMF number 2 over reluctance magnetic path. This term is shown the effect of the circuit 2 which terms of the circuit number 1. Effect of magnetic fluxes comes from circuit number 2 and turns only in the circuit number, and also for V2 we can write this equation by putting these values in the previous equation for fluxes of circuit number 1 and circuit number 2. We said that flux linkage of a circuit is number of turns that the flux of circuit. The previous that lambda 1 or 2 N1 T1. So if we product this equation for N1 and this for N2, we can find this. The flux linkage of circuit 1 and this flux linkage of the circuit 2. We see that some parameters at these equations are constant. For example, this one. For example, this one. And for example, this one. And this equation, you can see also this, and this parameters constant because number of turns, the reluctance of the N1 N are the constant because the magnetic material has the fixed property, has the fixed property of length, cross section, magnetic materials is fixed. So these are the fixed parameters. These are the fixed parameters. Only the current I1 and I2 or current, as these circuits can be changed, or variables can be acted as variable. So we call this fixed property of the material or fixed property of the circuit as inductance. We define this property as inductance. For example, this property of the inductance N1 square over the reluctance of leakage 1, we call it leakage inductance of circuit 1. Leakage inductance of circuit 1 is a constant that shows the linkage flux of the circuit, shows the linkage flux of the circuit in the electrical model. So it shows the property of the flux linkage of the circuit. This notion, or this one, shows the mutual flux property of the circuit 1 in the electrical circuit. So this is a notion for showing the magnetic flux property in electrical circuits. So we use inductances instead of fluxes. Inductances instead of fluxes. This inductances is the placement of the flux electric circuit in electrical circuit. The electrical circuit shows the property of magnetic fluxes in magnetic environment. Okay? So we use inductances instead of fluxes. So for CK2, we can use leakage with inductance of CK2 plus magnetic inductance of CK2 instead of leakage reactance, leakage flux of CK2 and leakage and magnetic flux of CK, and plus of them means L2, the inductance of CK2. You following to CK2. Before proceeding with this circuit, this is we talk about the concept of the inductance, about the concept of the fluxes, and how we can put inductances instead of fluxes in the electrical circuit. These are very important for us because in reality, we face with these fluxes at the magnetic circuits. In reality, we face with this in the magnetic circuits. This is the magnetic circuit in the real world with these fluxes, and with this configuration. But we model this real magnetic circuit in the electrical environment with inductances that replace these fluxes on the magnetic environment in the reality. This is a fictitious, this is a representative personality for that fluxes that we see in the reality are a representative, for instance, for this reality. So, understand this. That's used from differences in the class. You understand this molecule? You understand? Okay. From these two parts, LM2 and the other one in the previous page, LM1, this definition, we can see that LM2 over N2, and we can find this equation. This means that in magnetic inductances over the circuit one and magnetic in the circuit two have the constant property or have the same relation. If you find R and the reluctance of the magnetic circuit from this two parts, this equation and the previous equation, we can write this one. And this is very important. LM1 over 2, LM2, N1 over N2 squared means that these two inductances have the constant relationship. It depends on the term ratio of this circuit. This part, the inductance of the circuit 1 and the leakage inductance of the circuit 2, this part, if we see this, we can write L leakage 1, 2, L1, 2, the flux from the we see that N1, N2 are N1, N2, N2 back. See here, this, you can see this one and this one. These two parts are equal. Means that in this two parts shows us that L1 equal to L2. Means that the number of flux from the circuit 1, circuit 2 is equal to flux linking from the circuit 2 the circuit. This shows this one. N1, N2 over Rn, N2, N1 over N is one. So, if we put Rn from this equation, we find Rn, and put here, we can see that L1 leakage reluctance, leakage inductance, and the mutual inductances between circuit 1 and 2 can be shown with LM1 and LM2. This means that LM1 means inductance of the circuit is product N2 over N1 means N1 and means that this one is part of the mutual flux. Goes from one state number 1 to state number 2. And this shows that L21 is the part of the mutual fluxes go from one state 2 to circuit number 1. And this is the meaning of the mutual inductance. Mutual inductance on and circuit. We can write from this equation that all these constants we. So if we put this equation in the matrix format, we can find lambda equal to matrix inductance without two currents. So we can write this equation lambda equal to inductance matrix without I. This is a vector form of the flux linkage and inductance of the magnetic sequence. For example, for our example, we see that lambda 1 and lambda 2, L1 and L2, I1 and 2. This has dimension of 2, lambda 8 and lambda 2, I1 and this matrix is inductance matrix of the magnetically coupled circuits. As magnetically coupled circuit, for our example, and this magnetic circuit can be represented by a magnetic or inductance matrix, and this matrix shows that property between magnetic or flux linkage of the circuits 1 and 2 and the current following through circuits 1 and 2. This is a matrix called inductance matrix. This is a property of the circuit. Depends on the number of turns and the reluctance of the flux paths. Constant matrix. This is a property of a magnetically coupled circuit that we can use it in the electrical environment and replace the magnetic property of this circuit with this matrix in the electrical circuits. For example, we can use Li in this equation. For example, we can use from the in this equation. We put instead of d lambda over dt, lambda equal to Li means d Li by dt. D Li by dt means because the L is a constant only on the physical property of this circuit, number of turns, the dimension of the magnetic circuit, it's a constant. So the differentiation of this means L di by dt. So we can show that this magnetic circuit is the electrical domain can be shown by two circuits that have inductances and mutual inductances. Circuit with mutual inductances. This is the property of the circuit have mutual inductances. So magnetically coupled the magnetic domain can be replaced in the electrical domain which the two winding that have a mutual inductances. So this is electrical representation of the magnetic in the electrical domain. So we can say this. We proceed our analysis. This is a representation. This is not an equivalent circuit. This is an electrical representation. Somebody asked me with an email, I don't know, but I try to answer the question. This is a representation because we can show this with a little circuit and with other circuit current I do following through it, and in my mutual inductances L1, L11, L22, and L1. Only we can show with this. This is a representation. This is not an electrical model. This is an electrical representation of magnetically coupled circuit. This is a representation. I'll try to say it again. This is a representation of magnetically coupled circuit in electrical representation of the circuit in the magnetic coupled circuit in electrical with instead of the fluxes using of instead of the magnetic variable using of electrical variable. Instead of P, we use R. For example, L1, L5, L12, and L2. The circuits coupled together. And this is the mutual inductances between L1, L2, and L1. This is a representation of the magnetic reality in electrical. This is not an electrical one. This is a representation of the. So if we try to find a electrical equivalent circuit for this magnetic, we have to see our analysis. We can write number one for this circuit, and this. Number one. What difference in difference of circuit 1 to that R1 plus L1, R1 plus L2 over N1 by this or come from here. This means here R1 and you put this matrix. It means that into our N1, I1, product I2. This is I2. So we put this in I2. This I1 plus into our N1, product I2. And for number 2, we can write this from previous equation. We can write this equation. Here, this part of the current tell us some things. This means that if we let the circuit 1 to run this part, if we let and go to this point of the current through of the circuit 2. Follow through this one. The lambda one cannot be changed. Or lambda one cannot be changed. So we call this part of the current that means if the current follows through circuit 1 and the flux linkage of the circuit 1 do not change, we say that one magnetic field of pole is the circuit of the flux of the distant circuit are the same. So we call this part of the current. If current I belong to follow to circuit number 1. If the current I belong to follow to circuit 1, it's introduced an MMF equal to N to I equal to MMF of the circuit 2. The fluxes of the circuit 1 and circuit 2 do not change. Because the MMF of this part, current following to the circuit 1 is equal to the MMF of the circuit. And the circuit from magnetic field of point are the same. The circuit will not change. Okay? So we can find from this concept that I prime 2 equal to N to other N1 to that by 2. This one I prime 2. Or from this equation, if we let 2 circuit 2, the current equal to N1 other than 2. Follow from the circuit number 2, the flux or flux linkage of the circuit do not change. So, or we can say N2 I prime 1 equal to N1 I means that in following it to current following to the circuit to introduce an MMF equal to circuit number 1. Current following to circuit 2 introduce an MMF equal to circuit number 1. The magnetic property of the circuit number 2 won't change. So we can say from this equation I prime 1 equal to N1 other N2 I1. So we can use from each one of this equation to replace from the current. We use the first one. We use from and replace circuit 2 by the current following to circuit 1 and this equation. Find that I prime 2 into other than 1 so that I can. This means that we let to the circuit 1 to follow the current from it equal to this one, I prime 2. And this current makes the magnetic situation as the previous one when the current I2 from the circuit I2 So we say that if we let a current follow through the circuit 1 equal to I prime 2 makes this flux situation equal to situation that I2 follows through the circuit number 2. And we put this part away because the flux linkage of this circuit cannot change. Or we can put I prime 1 follow through this circuit and make MMF equal to N1 I1. So we can put this circuit away because this magnetic situation of the circuit match. So we call this property MMF balance or MMF preservation. MMF preservation means that MMF of the circuits main MMF of the circuit remain constant, remain preserved, and we do not change the magnetic property of the circuits. Okay, if we remove one circuit, we do not change the magnetic property of the domain. Okay, if we put this current in the circuit 1, the magnetic fluxes do not change in the circuit. But when I prime 2 to the circuit 1, 2, this power did not change because if the power of the circuit will change, the electrical property of the circuit change. So we have to preserve the electrical property of the magnetically. Okay, but physically, V2 product I2 means the power of the circuit not be changed. If the electrical property of the circuit change, it's another circuit. It's not the property or equivalent of the circuit. So we have to preserve V2 I2 also to preserve power of the circuit preserved. So V2 changed to V2 must be changed to V2 by the DC part of this in one other. With the reverse of this code, V prime 2 to that I prime 2 equal to V2 to that I. Electrical property of the circuit is there. And all the circuits, V prime 2 I prime 2 equal to V prime. So this change in the voltage preserving the power of the circuits. And we call this property, electrical power preserving the voltage. Preserve this property. Because the circuit between Y and must have the same power of the V2. The circuit we put even on the other circuit must have the same power. Lambda 2 is the property of V2 because we said that V equal to the lambda over T. So the lambda must be changed with same as voltage. If we add this to the equation, we put the I2 lambda by 2 and this when you I grant you say that I grant you, I introduce I grant you, and this one I forward in our N2 and other terms you can find. If we can say that this means a good property. It says that lambda 1 is a current I1 without leakage inductance of the secret form plus a magnetic flux inductance lambda magnetic flux inductance of secret form without I1 a secret that I1 the current of the secret form and I'm trying to linkage, the linkage flux that comes from the secret 2 and links the secret and also for secret 2 we can write. These two equations shows a equivalence secret autonomous. Means that if we put lambda, if we put these equations in the KVL of the secrets, I can find it. If we put this in this method of lambda, we put these voltages, we can find that V1 R1 plus D lambda 1 and right between extended form. Matrix format is node format and this one is extended format. I write previous two equations in extended format. V1 R1 plus D lambda 1 over and we can to R prime to R prime plus D lambda prime to D lambda prime 2 is here. We can put it. And lambda 1 is here. We can put this equation over. And we find that we can take a circuit and we can draw a circuit that these two equations are KVL of this circuit. And this circuit is KVL of V1 R1 plus LL1 DR1 plus LN1 I1 plus I1 over and for this circuit we can do R1 to R1 plus LL1 to DR1 over dt plus LN1 DR1 plus DR1 over dt and we can see that and this circuit and this equation are equivalent. So we can call that an equivalent circuit for this magnetically coupled. This is a magnetically environment or magnetically coupled circuit, and this is an equivalent electrical circuit. This is an equivalent electrical circuit. Means is in the domain of electrical parameters. The previous one is in the magnetical environment with magnetically parameters lambda, V, MMF and others. So please pay attention. This is an equivalence. The previous one lambda, this is This is electrical representation, not electrical circuit, not electrical equivalent circuit. It's an equivalent electrical representation. So different from other. Okay, L prime L2 means L prime L2 from this equation. You can find it. L prime L2, you can find N1 over N2 multiplied at this equation, in N1 and N2, and over N2, you can find in prime 2, you can find this one. You can see that L prime L2 is equal to L2 product N1 over N2 squared. This means that leakage reactance of circuit 2 refer to circuit 1, or this inductance of the circuit 2 LL2 refer to circuit 1 with the square of the term ratio of the circuit. A inductance from the circuit 2 comes to circuit 1 is referred by the square of the term ratio. For example, circuit 2 resistance referred to circuit 1 R2 is R2 product and ratio N1 over N2 squared. So we can say that currents referred from the circuit 1 to circuit from circuit 2 to circuit 1 with term ratio. Voltage referred from the circuit 2 to circuit 1 with the reciprocal of the or with the inverse of the term ratio. But inductances and resistances with the square of the term ratio. And we can write this equation for any circuit. If we have this third magnetic circuit here, if we have a third magnetic circuit here, VC, IC, NC, or NT, VT, IT, another circuits here, with the electrical parameters for the circuit, we can write another equation such here. R prime 3, I prime 3 plus D line, and we can draw the serial, and this is for two circuits. Or we can do for 2 circuits, 4 circuits, and many circuits magnetically coupled together, and we can etch electrical circuits such as this. For example, 40 circuits here. For third circuit, we can divide from here another branch, L prime L3, L prime 3, I prime 3, for the circuits number 4, L prime L4, L prime 4, I prime 4, B prime 4. And we can put all of them. And the main concept of the electrical circuit behind this electrical circuit, we find many concepts, many mention of the changing from or transform from magnetic domain to electric domain. And this is very important for us, and we can use it in the electrical machines analysis and simulation. Any question? ask you, please read carefully. Read carefully. Concept of the electrical circuits, concept of mathematical coupled circuit, the concept of representation of mathematical circuits inductance form. Please try these concepts and carefully understand the differences in there and the similarities between the domain of magnetical and electrical circuits. Okay. When I reach to the simulation part of the course, I will try to explain the concept of the simulation. But here I can say that this is a simple transform. This is a simple single phase transform. Okay? This is a single phase transform. This is a single phase transform. I ask you to simulate this single phase transform in many situations. For example, when circuit 2 is open circuit, apply a sinusoidal voltage here and find the current I1, find the voltage V2, find the Planck's linkage variation in the circuit, all of the parameters electric of the circuit is open circuit of number 2. Or apply a load here of resistive load, only resistive load, with the power demand. For example, nominal power of the transformer. The load power equal to nominal power of the transformer. And switch on the sinusoidal waveform of the source. You can see that the current I1, I2, voltage I2 fluxes in the circuit. Waveform of the current, voltage, flux, and current. We say this is a simulation of electrical circuits in the black holes. Do you understand? For example, try for the next session. Try for the next session. All the people listen me. All the people please listen to me. For the next session, we try to simulate this single phase transformer in the MATLAB. For circuit 2 low load, for circuit 2 full load. The parameter of the transformer R, L, and the other parameters that you need for simulation. R, L, Ln, and these parameters of the circuit you need to simulate this one. To solve this problem numerically. Simulation means numerical. Simulation means solving these two equations numerically. You can try that this number 2 and with the loading set number, you can see that voltage, current, flux, and other things. It's simple. Any question? Other? Any? Any question? Who was asked me about Get modeling with email. Who was asked me with email why we try to make a equivalent secret, not an equivalent representation? Who was? Is absent? Is absent? Not focused. Okay. No question? Okay. No, only name, Ganesh. Name, son. Nemat, Dash, Tali, Atsan, Azar, Isida, and name, make me answer your question or any other thing about the course. You can contact with this email about the course or the question about the materials of course. Okay? Then we reach the simulation. When we reach the simulation assignment, I try to say what I need to report and what I need to report to down your simulations. But here we don't have anything with it. Okay, I cannot understand Arabic, but this molecule write in Arabic cannot is write in English. Okay, goodbye. Next session.